Hello and welcome to Stateline. I'm Chris Kimball. This week, a thriller in the National Library and a scary movie with its 16-year-old maker. Some inspiring Goulburn school students en route to Uganda and fabulous Floriade photos. Those stories all to come. First, 2 new monuments have been commissioned for the lake end of Anzac Parade. But will they be fitting reminders to the fallen or eyesores that glorify war? It's become a war of the memorials. Critics say the designs are too big for the site and would have been more fitting in Mussolini's Italy than in today's Australian capital. But the proponents say monuments remembering the 2 world wars are appropriate and overdue.
It's Anzac Day 1965, the official opening of Anzac Parade. Over the following decades, Anzac Parade evolves. Monuments are built, remembering conflicts, honouring countries. But there's something missing. A single monument alongside the others in memory of the thousands who served in World War I and II. That's until now.
This is the first look at the latest images of the memorials that are proposed to commemorate the World Wars. It's 18 months since Stateline's last story about the plans. Now the proponents are preparing for public consultations and they're already facing a fight.
These memorials are in a very visible place. So it's appropriate to have a proper discussion about it. There's no doubt about that. And we're up to the task of defending what we're proposing.
Mike Buick has a key role in that defence. He's the chairman of the volunteer committee that's been working towards this project since 2004.
As a nation, I mean, if we feel it's important that we should have memorials, and there are many fine memorials in Anzac Parade, and in particular memorials to conflicts such as Vietnam and Korea, where 520 people lost their lives and 339 people in Korea. How can we not, as a nation, think it's appropriate to have a memorial for 61,000 people in World War I or 49,000 for World War II? So it's a matter of balance and completeness is our argument.
Peter Stanley, we're here on Anzac Parade. There's about a dozen war memorials along each side here, and we've got, of course, the war memorial at the top of Anzac Parade. Do we need another memorial or 2 more for World War I and World War II?
Well, I'd say, Chris, that we've got a memorial to World War I and World War II. It's right in front of us, and it's one of the greatest war memorials in the world.
The reason why we're doing this is that we have, for many years, felt that the War Memorial, as such, is a great institution. Its primary role, though, is to commemorate all wars. And the fact that over the years it's come to have a specific or wider role means that the 2 great wars of the last century, do justify some particular and additional commemoration.
The fact that Canberra in Australia has Anzac Parade and the memorials on it shows that it's important to the nation to remember that war has been a part of the nation's history. But the nation's history shouldn't be defined by war, and putting big war memorials at the bottom of Anzac Parade is 2 memorials too far.
That frank appraisal comes from one of Australia's leading military historians. Dr. Peter Stanley has devoted his career to understanding war.
My initial reaction, to be honest, was that I thought that this would be more appropriate in North Korea or in Mussolini's Italy. I thought it was completely out of keeping. The wonderful Australian War Memorial we have has a very human scale. It talks about the emotion of war. But those stone monoliths that are proposed, to me, don't have any emotion in them. It's simply brutalist architecture, quite out of keeping for Australia in the 21st century.
Brutalist and too big? Not according to the jury in last year's international design competition, which chose Brisbane architect Richard Kirk's proposal ahead of more than 40 international entries.
I think if people hopefully get the opportunity to understand the different layers of meaning in the memorial, the different ways that we try to inform and build a new narrative about the way war impacts on today's community, I think they'll see that the value of them is beyond what they look like.
We, as the Memorials Development Committee, did not choose the design. It was chosen by a group of people with a wide range of artistic and historical interests.
That design is for two 20-metre-high granite towers with cuts to mark the lines of the sun at key remembrance dates. The towers and the terrace in between will be inscribed with personal stories of servicemen and women and their families.
You'd like to think that these are a reminder that war involves the entire community, not just the people who go and serve.
The proposals drew a mixed reaction in February last year when the design was announced. Recent public criticism has been led by groups as diverse as the Medical Association for the Prevention of War and the Walter Burley Griffin Society.
Our organisation thought that the proposal had gone away because it was unpopular, but it hadn't gone away, and we're quite disturbed to see that the proposal has been developed since then and is still under the radar.
Nothing is hidden here. The government's not paying for this. We are a voluntary committee. I mean, we are just the proponents of an idea which we hope the public of Australia will like. There's no stealth, there's no secrecy or anything else at all.
Walter Burley Griffin designed a land axis, if you like, a mould, a continuous, clear vista. It's one of the enduring core elements of Griffin's great design for Canberra. It survives, but it can be jeopardised by these war memorials, and would be jeopardised by these war memorials.
The NCA and others went to great lengths to analyse their impact, visual, practical, in terms of the way the site's used. So from our point of view, we're more than comfortable with the way that they actually work with their setting.
One of our thoroughfares, one of our main tourist thoroughfares, is full of war memorials. We don't see the same proliferation of memorials to our great writers, our scientists, people who've contributed to society in all manner of ways.
Do you think this project will have public support?
Well, we hope so, and we welcome the publicity and we welcome the ability to and the opportunity to put our story into the public so that they can clearly understand. But I would also encourage people to remember that this is a national project, and while Canberrans, of course, have a primary interest, as it is our city, it is for the whole nation. It's not just about Canberra.
Important yet costly commemoration, finance and final approvals pending. The memorials are scheduled to be built in time for the 100th anniversary of the Gallipoli landings. The federal government kicked in start-up money, but another $20 million is needed.
We believe that it's going to come from the defence industries, the companies that supply the defence forces at the moment, and that would surely raise the issue of whether that's a conflict of interest, because the military industries profit financially from warfare, and to have them involved in the commemoration of warfare we think is highly inappropriate.
We have not had any discussions whatsoever with any company which will be providing money from overseas or anywhere else. We are seeking funding support from wealthy and philanthropic Australians. That's where we've gone at the moment.
These memorials raise questions about war's place in Australia's cultural and historical landscape at a time when the personal cost of armed conflict is once again prominent in the public consciousness.
Putting big memorials to the world wars at the bottom of Anzac Parade unduly defines Australia as a militaristic nation. Australia's about much more than wars. It's about pioneers and convicts and exploration and migration. It's about all sorts of things. The nation shouldn't be defined by just one aspect of its history.
It's not about glorifying war. What we're seeking to do, quite clearly, is to make sure that the impact of these two wars are remembered, the suffering and loss is recognised, and it's not about glorifying death. It's about remembering and having an enduring marker that future generations will understand in 100 years what happened.
So where to from here for that project? Well, public consultations will continue into next year. Heritage and environmental assessments are pending, and final ministerial and NCA approvals will be needed before building can commence. Anyone wishing to register feedback, criticism or make a donation should go to the Memorials Development Committee website. That's www.mdc.org.au.